Hi, everybody. This is Andrew Greenberg, Executive Director of the Georgia Game Developers Association. We appreciate you tuning in to us on a Tuesday night. Our topic tonight is from game startup to game success. We have a number of companies who've made that transition, who've taken their startup into being a very successful company, not just an occupation, but a way of life, as well as commentators who can talk on the subject. In addition, we're going to have some giveaways for you tonight. So we will have codes for Killing Floor tonight. So stay tuned in so you can talk in chat to win those. And I would also like to introduce some of our partners for tonight. We work with a number of different groups to support business development in game studios throughout the state. One of those we've recently been partnering with is the University of Georgia's Business Development Center. So I'd like to introduce one of the business consultants from there to talk a little bit about what they do.
Yes, hi, thanks, Andrew. Good evening, everyone. Name is Benny Romana. I'm with the University of Georgia Small Business Development Center. Back in 1976, UGA told the SBA, look, if Coca-Cola, Home Depot, and so on can afford, $500 per hour for consulting, how about the small and medium-sized companies? Gaming industry is one of those sectors. So we exist actually nationwide, including Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico. We have 900 offices that you can go to help you start your business, help you register your company, help you with a business plan, put together financial projections, and put together a presentation for investors and banks. And the price is right. We provide that service at no charge, fully supported by the states in which we reside, including SBA. So you are all welcome. If you are inclined to put up your own business, your own company, your own LLC, SBDC is there. Thank you.
Thank you, Benny. Much appreciated. And tonight we're doing this from 22 Tech Park Incubator. Really want to thank them for all their support this night, not only the help in putting together the event, and not only this wonderful facility, and not only the great food, but especially the sweet water we all drank tonight, and Coronas and everything else. So I would like to introduce Roman Grimaldi, who is with 22 Tech Park, to tell you a little bit about this space.
Thank you. Keep your applause till later. So like you said, I'm the director here at 22 Tech Park. What we're trying to do is we're trying to create one of the country's first gaming incubators. So I've had the chance to travel this country. I've been an entrepreneur myself for the last decade. And there's nothing like what we're trying to do anywhere in the country right now. There's a lot of incubators, a lot of co-working spaces. And what we want to create is a community where serendipitous relationships can happen. It's great to be around like-minded people. It's great to have different views, and the more we interact with each other, the more we can elevate this community, the industry that we're in, and you never know what's going to come of a relationship that you build. And I'd like to thank Andrew and the GGDA. You guys have been nothing but great to work with so far, and we're gonna have a great panel tonight. I know Molly's gonna kick it off and do a great job like she always does. And Molly at Ker-Chunk Games is actually a tenant here at 22 Tech Park, and they do wonderful things. So let's just give them a round of applause real quick. We love having them here. Yeah. Anyways, they saved it to the end. But thank you. I hope you guys enjoy the night, and let's do it again sometime.
Right. Thank you, Roman, and thanks for the beer. Now the round of applause for Roman. There we go. Excellent. So now it's my great pleasure to turn it over to Molly Profit, CEO of Ker-Chunk Games, to lead this discussion. If you have questions online, please post them in chat, and we'll relay them on through to Molly and the rest of the panel. So here we go.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you, Roman. So first, I want to tell you guys what this panel is about. It's called From Game Startup to Game Success. And what we're going to go over, we actually don't have, it's not all games, which is great because one of the things that we want to go over is just general startup growth. How do you handle that growth? In addition to how do you actually start? Where do you start? So many people don't even know where to begin. So I think we should start by seeing who everyone is. Don't just talk about where you currently work, but maybe some of the experience you are leveraging from your past as well.
That's going to be a long story. I'm Alan Wilson, currently Vice President of Tripwire Interactive, just down the road. If you want the full history, that's about 35 years, 10 years living in this country. Prior to that, a career in IT, banking, and exotic things like that. This is my third company. We kind of do the joke that I've started one, sold one, started a second, crashed it, started a third, and this one's still alive.
Honesty is the best policy.
Not always.
Hi everyone, I'm Tammy McQueen. I am a co-founder of 31 South. It is a marketing company focused on hyper-growth tech companies, and we focus on everything from go-to-market strategy to brand influence and understanding at what point in the funnel you are generating the most revenue. I am originally from Johannesburg, South Africa, not South Alabama, as my accent might allude to. I came to the US about 15 years ago. I played tennis competitively as a junior, and there's a point at which you reach 5'2" and you're just not going pro. So you play Division I instead. I went to college, undergrad, grad school, moved around a little bit, and settled in Atlanta 7 years ago. It's a city that I think holds an incredible amount of potential and opportunity for its people. And that's what's kept me here. I've been in a startup world and the ecosystem, joining SalesLoft at the very early stages. I was one of the first employees, took it from less than 10 to 150 when I left in May to start out on my own. And really looking forward to sharing a little bit on the startup front, from building a company, using brand influence, understanding relationships and why they're so key in creating indelible experiences for what you are working on, and generating that sort of positioning in the market. So happy to answer any questions you have just on general startups, marketing, go to market as well, and leveraging partnerships as well.
I'm the Joe of Puzzles by Joe. I'm about a 90% solo indie. I've had a few people work for me part-time off and on. I've been also in Atlanta for 7 years and been in Indy for about 7 years. Before that, I worked for a company in the casual download space. And after seeing the boom and that starting to bust a little bit, I said, well, maybe I can do this on my own. And that's what I've been trying to do, just build a sustainable business. And I pretty much reached the tipping point where I can say I'm slightly better off being a solo indie than if I was continually working for somebody else these last 7 years.
So all representing different spaces, different size companies, different types of businesses. I guess the biggest question, because everybody always wants to know, how did you fund your dream? And did you take outside investment, which is actually more common to hear the answer no than it is to hear yes. So I'm really interested, because I don't know if any of y'all have taken outside investment. And if you can't talk about it, that's totally okay too.
I can talk about failing dismally to get outside investment. I have plenty of experience in that. No, I mean, we funded, well, depends what you define. If you're talking about formal outside investment, sort of from private equity, angel, VC or whatever, no, pitched multiple times a decade ago. And actually, like anyone who gets away with not getting external investment and builds a company, I am very, very, very happy that we failed dismally, because the business is entirely ours, the risk is entirely ours, and the rewards are entirely ours. But no, I mean, we took external investment from the 3 Fs: friends, families, and fools. There was a friend of mine in the banking industry who put up 12.5 grand. Thanks, Nick. Great, to be fair, he got paid back. Family, yes, we did borrow from at least one family pension fund, now I think about it. And fools, that would probably be me.
Yeah, it's an question.
From a services standpoint, and the model that we have did not take outside funding. So can't really speak to that in terms of the fundraising part of it, but have worked with multiple companies that have evaluated going bootstrapped the entire way through, or taking Series A for the growth potential of having that entire partnership model instead of actually needing the funds to grow and to scale. So there's definitely a double-sided approach there.
Yeah, and to be fair, I mean, I was being facetious about funding VC and everything else. It is definitely a route to go, but it's that whole external route is something that needs to be considered very carefully. You are going to if you want to go that way, and you need to go that way, you're going to have to plan way in advance. And I've talked to people who've come out to me at shows like GDC, going, "Hey, look, we need 2 million to finish our game by Christmas. Should I go to a VC?" And you go, "No, don't be stupid. I mean, this is not something you do overnight. This is something you think about and plan for and work up to very carefully, very thoughtfully. Otherwise, A, it won't happen. B, you will get raped, looted, and pillaged."
Joe.
Short answer for me is also no. I took a man year to do the first Clutter game, and supported myself basically off of savings. There was a sale of a house or whatever, but when I got to Atlanta, I wanted to hedge my bets a little bit. So as the game went out, I did some consulting, which turned into a part-time job for a little while, and while doing the part-time job, I did the second game, and once the second game got to a certain point, I cut down totally the commitment I had made to the local company. And in hindsight, working at all, and this is a bad lesson, but it's still a true lesson. In hindsight, as much as that company treated me well, it probably cost me $150,000 to work for them, because if I had never worked for them, even though it would have been a little scarier, I would have gotten the game out quicker. And the market has been shrinking, and it's but at least I had health insurance for a little while. So
Yeah, but I mean, there's a whole thing that lurking there. I mean, Joe's casually saying, you put the house up for sale or something like this.
No, I didn't. I really didn't fund. I moved in with my future wife, and it was not a hardship at all. There was no, for me. Sorry, I'm just answering for me. There's no hardship at all doing this. I knew I wanted to take the year. My future wife said, push me to do it actually, and we didn't. There was no hardship.
Yeah, I mean, through a couple of times we've put houses up.
Yeah.
And I was talking to Lee about it earlier, a few minutes ago. There's a thing about taking risk. I mean, we're probably going way off
No,
track.
actually, I think people need to hear when you put your house up for your business. I mean, you don't have to tell that story if you don't want to, but
I'm not telling you the details. That's another matter. I try not to think about it. But there's a thing about taking those sorts of risks, and there's a whole pile of spin-offs here. One, I do a bunch of presentations at schools and colleges and this sort of thing, and point out, if you are going to take stupid risks like that, and let's be fair, that is putting your life savings on the line or whatever is kind of scary and silly and mad, and you do not take that lightly. But there's times when it's much easier to do. I mean, I did it completely the wrong way around, which was to wait until I was, coming up for the midlife crisis, and then shipped my wife and daughter completely across the Atlantic while burying a pile of cash I didn't have. And you stop and think about it, it's a really, really stupid idea. But, if you are going to get your own company off the ground, there's a flip side to that, which is don't go asking other people for money if you aren't in it up to your neck. Because, for example, you come to me and say, "Hey, Alan, I want to borrow $100,000 to finish my game." My first question is going to be, what have you got in there? Because if you're not in, I'm sure as hell not getting in. And the same applies the other way around. If we're not in, don't go to other people asking for money. Why would, if we can't trust ourselves, why the hell would they trust us? But it's also about be very, very aware of the risks you're taking.
Right, and I wasn't paying artists or anything. It was just really my sweat equity.
Yep.
And I easily, at that point in my life, it was easy to eat the man year.
Yeah. Well, that's where I was going.
Even if it made nothing.
Yeah. You'll find there are those times, in your life, in your career, when it's much easier to take risks. Yeah. And I know I've done it at least once before when I'd been fired from made redundant. I've never been fired for being a rude bastard. That was a very good time to start a business because I had nothing else going on, and I felt like telling the world to go screw themselves because I knew better. So I decided to try and prove it. But those are, those moments, it's like when you get out of college or when you're still in college. Those are very, very good times to take some of those risks because you've got time you will never have again. Once you get onto the treadmill of working jobs day in, day out, getting off that treadmill again is phenomenally difficult. Don't ever underestimate how hard that is.
Tammy, when did you know you wanted to start your own business?
This is a great question. Both my parents were entrepreneurs, and I had gone the traditional route of going through grad school, entering the market, and going through the traditional idea of this is what marketing is, this is the career path. I was that person in college that had the spreadsheet mapped out. I knew what my next career was, the next career move, every skill set I needed to have to move to the next thing, and I had this perfectly planned out personal growth plan, just as they have it mapped out in the textbooks, and was going along and joined. I went from corporate to academia, back to corporate, and then entered the startup world. And I remember entering this this phase of life per se, where I walked into the Atlanta Tech Village. Had never been exposed to the startup world before. And here I see these scooters riding around me, and there's a keg of beer. I'm like, turned to the CEO and said, how on earth is this even possible? You get work done. I'm not having any of this. I'm not into this. And it was so interesting to see that. To me, it seemed like, oh, this is such a big risk going in. And I thought, well, I can just dive in. It'll be fine. I'll be able to rebound. I can go somewhere else and figure it out from the next point if it doesn't work. And almost fell in love with the idea of building a business. And when you early stage startup, as most of you know, is you have your hands in absolutely every part of the business. And I learned at that point that I'm truly a builder at heart. I love coming in, getting my hands dirty, and working on molding and sort of the malleability of a fresh company and taking it in the direction, having that impact on it, and then growing that company to where it is. And SalesOft went through a very fast growth in understanding where they were, positioning themselves in the market and establishing themselves. And it was at that point where I didn't have the opportunity to build anymore. The team was incredible, a well-oiled machine, and I felt that I was thirsty for building again. And it was at that point I was like, I want to do this for many companies. I want to take them at that point, at that inflection point of hyper growth, and lead them through that incredible excitement of building and directing them to where they wanted to go and having an impact on that with multiple different companies. And that's when I was like, this is the only way I'm going to be able to do this. I would never go to another brand other than SalesOft that inspired this sort of vision and creativity, or my own, where I would be able to work with a team that would allow us to do this. So it was through that startup kickoff that allowed that to happen.
I want to talk a little bit about discoverability, because there's really three different perspectives here of discoverability. Joe, you have both self-distributed your games via your website portal, but you've also partnered with publishers who have helped you with that sort of discovery.
Right, they're more distributors. Number one, I picked my market specifically because I didn't have to worry about marketing. I knew that when I first put out the first Clutter game, the market hadn't shrunk as much. I knew I would get at least 100,000 eyeballs. And I knew that if I could get a 3 to 5% conversion rate, I'd do okay. And everything built from that. So, again, I did not do I've done very little of my own marketing. The amount of product I sell from my own website is people that actually have sought me out, because I can't even have a link in my game because distributors view that as poaching. So customers that make it to my site actually sought out Puzzles by Joe because they enjoyed the game that much. So I brand very... It's the first thing you see. It's the last thing you see. It's part of the story. I mean, I brand, anybody who plays one of my games knows it's Puzzles by Joe. They don't, And that's the best I can do. So I'm starting to do my own marketing, but we're not even close to having any results there yet. But I picked my market because at the time, they're called distributors, but they were really aggregators. It's one of the things missing from like the App Store. The aggregators haven't shown up yet as far enough. They seem to be starting to show up on like Steam. I have a distributor there that's putting me on Steam starting tomorrow. And they seem to be a true aggregator looking, where they have customers and they push your game to them. And that's the way it used to work in the casual market. Big Fish was an aggregator. They have the hidden object fans. So you put the game on your site, you just have to meet some criteria at the time, which was it had to be big enough, long enough, full screen, etc. And then, again, I knew I was going to get the 100,000 eyeballs. And then the game stands or fails on its own.
So your model is that the distributor takes a certain percentage of your revenue.
Correct.
Yeah, but you don't have like a distributor and a publisher taking percentages of your.
Correct. Some of the distributors, though, are allowed to redistribute it elsewhere,
Right.
sort of, but there's no exclusivity going. There used to be a month wait kind of a thing going on, but none of my distributors have any exclusiveness. Even I was in a box product, and even they didn't take. I could be in a second box product by another company. Nobody cared about that in the space. They used to, but they don't. They didn't at the point I entered, which was about 2010, 11.
And Tripwire has primarily worked with distributors or the actual platform providers, but also has been a publisher. Is that correct?
Yeah, we've stuck our fingers into pretty much every pie going, I think. We started out, the first thing we did was, we were one of the first non-Valve properties released on Steam in 2006. So we've done our own distribution there. Valve make the big point that they are not a publisher. They're a storefront, a distribution service, and that's, they're no more, no less. And we can get into the whole long debate about, Valve's role in Steam, Greenlight, and the latest, and all the rest of that. Over and more beer. We have, through, I think it's about 2009 through 2011, we were doing, because we'd worked with those who would consider themselves to be a publisher to get the game into stores back in 2006, when that was still a thing for the PC market. I mean, these days, if any of you head for GameStop or Walmart or anywhere else, I mean, the shelf space for PC games is either non-existent or tiny. I think it's about 3 feet of shelf space these days. So we wanted to take out the middleman, and we started doing the whole publishing bit ourselves in retail as well, certainly here in the US and working with distributors in Europe. And it was nightmarish. I mean, it is a good thing to do. It's good experience to have, but trust me, doing the sales calls to your cackling. You've been to Walmart. To Walmart in Bentonville is just soul destroying. You have a 15-minute meeting. Don't you dare be late, but the buyer will be at least 30 minutes late. You've got 3 minutes. Who the hell are you? Get out. It is hideous. It's a hideous process. These days, we work direct with platform holders, with Microsoft, with Sony. Valve, if they're they're not quite the platform holder, but they're making a fair attempt at it. We keep looking at publishing other people's games. The main reason we haven't done more of it is simply bandwidth. It's growth. We're growing so fast doing our own stuff that we don't have. It is about bandwidth. It's about management bandwidth. Which is a worrying thing to say for an indie that started out with 4 people. It's just we can't cope with anymore. I think I said to someone earlier, we've done more releases this summer than we did of games than we did in the previous 6 years. Gives you an idea of the growth. What was the question? I'm gambling.
So I'm leading into the question because I don't know if everybody knows. What is your model? Who are you in that sort of model? And this applies to all of y'all. So now we have a little bit more information about how you distribute your own games. But my question is, for people that are starting their new businesses, how do we solve this discoverability problem for new studios that have not been around for the last 10 years? What can they do? Because we all assume, organic growth. That's almost a lie. It's very, very, very difficult. and also that's why I want the outside perspective of PR and marketing.
I'll take this one. You think from the industry perspective, and having a look at and understanding where the gaming industry is in Atlanta, and it is such an incredible opportunity to tell a story of Atlanta and who we are as a community on a global stage. No one knows the story. Everyone is chasing San Francisco, chasing these other gaming hubs, and they know that story. But it's an opportunity for us to really understand how we can tell that story, not necessarily of the game or the industry or the vertical, but really, this is Atlanta. This is the community. Look how many of you are in a room on a Tuesday night. This is incredible. And no one knows about that. And I really think to be able to share that as a community and tell that story from an experience standpoint rather than only when you go into market, only when you're distributing, but foster that entire community just as much as the B2B SaaS and fintech community and security has really come together in Atlanta to tell that story. And it becomes significantly important for hiring, for attracting talent, for retaining talent. And it's really circumvents that idea of brain drain, that people that are leaving Georgia Tech or Georgia State or UGA, some really strong universities with incredible engineering talent, that they have to leave Atlanta to go to the West Coast to actually see their careers take off. It has an important impact on keeping that talent here when you're telling that story of the funding that they're getting, the opportunity for growth, the different startups that are coming into the city. And you don't hear that enough about gaming. Like, why are we not telling that story? Why is that not being told to the rest of the country or the conferences that are here? And I think there's a lot of opportunity just from influencer marketing, the word of mouth, and really leveraging the story that you already have. You don't even have to create it. And you have those resources to be able to do so. And I think there's a lot of opportunity from a pure outside standpoint on marketing and taking that to the global stage.
Can you survive without a publisher?
What?
Have you thought about whether you can survive without a publisher as an indie?
Of course you can survive without a publisher. We've done it for 12 years.
You have. Can new people?
No, I mean, anyone can and should. I mean, you're talking about discoverability. I'm just looking at it from another direction. Stats released today. Did anyone else see them? Number of games released on Steam in the last 3 weeks. Anyone see that? That's this week.
I know, you had that stat. I was like,
213 this week. Right. 700 in the last 3 weeks. So you talk about discoverability of games as well. I mean, you're talking about discoverability of Atlanta and Georgia as an industry, which is a separate and important topic, especially when you get onto things like recruitment, building companies. But discoverability of games, of apps, it's a nightmare at the moment. I don't know any simple, there's no easy solution. I mean, one of the pieces I'll preach is, do your marketing before you launch the game. Make sure, do your work before you get out there. I've had far too many people come to me going, we've released we got our game through Green Light when that was a thing. It's available on Steam now, and we've sold 207 copies. Can you help me sell more? No, you're too late. Get to work before you put the game out. Get people interested long before you put the game out. I don't care whether it's beta, free betas, alphas, whatever you need to do. Go spam, Battlefield 1's forums until they throw you off. Then do it again. I don't care.
Sound marketing practices.
Actually, you have a story
it's
about
politely called guerrilla marketing.
Mimicking a competitor. I was reading one of the articles, and similar, different industry. But
You're talking to her, right?
I am. I don't. Am I getting it?
I have a different story. But,
So again, I got into my market because I didn't have to worry about marketing, but it's shrinking so much, I'm now having to worry about marketing. The nice thing is I now have a franchise that has 7 products in it. I know that once one person buys one of my games, the odds are well over 50% they'll buy a second game, which means my cost of acquisition actually can be a little higher than most games. Plus, I'm not in mobile. They'll actually pay $9 or $10 for one of my games. I haven't run the Facebook experiment yet. We're going to do that soon. I have hopes that Steam's going to be another little trickle, and what happens with mine is as the market shrink, I find new trickles, and the trickles, I have a soft income that comes in that will support me for a while, that lets me do more interesting things. It's not really marketing, but I've decided that my next game will be no text, or almost almost nothing, so that I can go to China. I'm doing it in Unity. I'm going to be on mobile, the tablets, the iPad. At least, again, hopefully another trickle will open up. So, and I'm going to try to believe. I'm not going to try to believe. I believe I'm going to do the experiment at least that I can spend $6 on Facebook to make $9. And if I can do that,
I want that secret. That's going in my back pocket.
the secret is having more than one product, is leveraging the franchise because it's already there. That I have 7 games that are all $10 games, and that once one person plays and likes it, they will buy.
They'll keep coming back.
I have quite a few players that have bought all my games. They will. This last one went out 3 weeks later. Somebody's been playing it for 3 weeks. When's your next game coming out? When? Come on, when?
I could take a vacation.
We made it 8 months. We waited 8 months for this one. When's your next one? And but they'll still play this one. My games are replayable, which is one of the things I did on purpose.
But other things in terms of discoverability. So I think you said, Tammy, there's a thing about networking as well, and yeah, I hate to say it, this is it's an investment of time and money. Money to go to somewhere like GDC, and a pile of time basically pounding on doors. I mean, keep in mind that, for example, Sony over the last couple of years, 2 or 3, 4 years, whatever it is, has been courting indies very ferociously, looking for things that are not big AAA games to release, to push through their market. Microsoft have picked up to some extent on that, but you've got to get out there and do it, whether it's with the platform holders or other companies that can help you. Whatever it is, you've got to do that thing that, I hate to say it, of course, a lot of developers are not terribly good at, which is interacting with people. I'm not going to start making too many jokes about coders and their social skills, Joe. But it's a truism, and here's another part of that, which is recognize what you're good at and what you're not good at. And if you're not good at doing that stuff, find someone to work with who is. Whether it's a friend of yours, someone doing a marketing degree in college, who has a life plan that stretches out for the next 17 years, whatever it is. Find people to work with who will help do those things. When we were first a mod team 14 years ago, whatever it was, we would do that thing of, as a mod team, one of our guys who liked spamming forums was sent out to spam the living shit out of forums.
It's a very specialized skill.
It is, yeah. It involves coming up with as many different account names as you can come up with, and typing a lot.
It's the equivalent of me setting out to build a really interactive website. I just know what my limitations are, and that's one of them. So Same goes for marketing, distribution, and really understanding where the story lies and the reach of the brand.
Right. I've made the offer more than once to people. If you increase my web sales, I'll give you 50%. And I've never had the right person take me up and be actually proactive about it, because they actually have to care. They have to believe it can happen, number one. So
Hear that, Roman? You ready?
yeah, we'll talk. We'll talk for sure. So yeah, that's
All right, so I want to talk about growth a little bit, but not growth of audience, because that's kind of what we kind of covered with discoverability. I want to talk about growth of your team because some people want to stay small, some people want to stay solo. Joe, you kind of you tried a couple different things.
I tried. If number 6 was more successful, I envisioned that I would have this little team at this point, and enough that maybe I could put out 3 to 4 games a year instead of the 1.5 or whatever. However, a few things that game, the market shrunk more, and I don't trust anything. So when my numbers were 30% off, I wrote all my distributors and said, is it my breath or has something happened? And they said basically that things had tanked for them it had been going down slightly, and then it really dove for a little bit. But it seems to have been done the dive. But so I couldn't maintain that. I can't spend 20 grand on art if I believe my customers don't care about the art. And next year at this time we'll have another talk because I'm going to know whether, at least for my customers, it's true or not, because this last game, which is more Jonas, weird math art, collages again, seems to have will be doing better than 6.
Yeah, and no artist is ever going to want to talk to you again.
No, I'm very good to my artists, and I pay well. I do. I don't abuse interns, so.
They're not on this panel to speak, but it's okay. So the same question applies for all of you, because you all have your own business, or you've worked with businesses from that kind of founder level to where you are now. So I'm curious, how big do you want to be?
One of my favorite books is The Hard Thing About Hard Things by Ben Horowitz. And in the book, there's a quote that says, focus on the people, in this order, the people, the product, and then the profits. And I think it is so true, but so easily skewed, because the people is truly so important, especially in a services business. Who you hire is absolutely crucial to the relationships that you're building and how that is going to amplify your growth, and that's really going to allow us to grow. And I think where we found ourselves is when you bring so many people together, 4 of us that have incredible networks and have place a lot of emphasis on relationships, it can grow very, very quickly. And that scale with people wanting to work with you is a blessing and a curse in knowing how to scale that while not letting anyone down and giving them, the 11-star treatment type of thing. And so I think Reid Hoffman talks about the 11-star experience, which is a great little nugget of information. And so I think understanding, obviously I would love to grow very big, very quickly, but understand that not having the right team to support that can send you in reverse as well, as quick as you got there. So I think scaling with the right people is important. Having the same vision and alignment on core values, goals, vision is truly, truly important. And knowing that you're moving in the right direction first is probably our biggest focus.
Y'all, same question.
Yeah, how big does Tripwire want to be? Big enough. We're 3 people now. We were started off with 4 people. That really is a hard question, but there's a couple of key points that Tammy alluded to. One is we've always been really careful about growth and thought about that. There's been plenty of opportunities when the bank accounts have been overflowing. Yay! And there is a tendency to go berserk. We can go, we can get 3 new character artists. Great, that'll solve this problem. And we need 7 more animators, and we'll do. And suddenly you've got this big forest of people.
So easy to throw money at problems.
Yes, and it's very easy to leap at every opportunity. You're talking about big networks, and for instance, in terms of stupid opportunities, when we really put Killing Floor 2 out on early access 2015, within 3 months we'd had 3 offers to take over major AAA IPs, which is very flattering. And the first 2 were kind of you don't want us doing that. No, really, you don't. I mean, I hate to tell you, but Bambi with guns is not a good idea.
Bambi had guns.
Yeah, Bambi didn't have guns. That's the trouble.
Bambi's mother was shot by a gun.
Yeah, if Bambi's mother had a gun. Anyway,
I
Back
would
on
play
track.
this game.
I have wanted to do this for more time than most of you have been alive. But where are we going? Yeah, and we thought about it and realized that, sure, someone's going to come to us with a big amount of cash and go, this game here, next iteration of this IP, it's yours to do. But we would have to build up a team to service a AAA IP, which means a team of 200 plus people, which we don't have. It means a lot of cash rolling through the business, and then that would end. And what do you do at the end of that point? And we thought, face value, here is an opportunity. We go, ooh, God, we must do this. And then you stop and think about it. And you need to stop and think about how many of these things, what of these things can we actually achieve? If we, people say aim for the moon and all the rest of it, but don't be stupid. Think about it. A lot of it is about thinking about, I mean, you guys we can grab all these bits of business. What are you going to do when you got them? We've got 4 people and more business than we could handle with 40. And you're going to let a whole bunch of people down. So overgrowth is a real thing for some people. And I've certainly seen it done. I've seen companies around here, now I think about it, almost collapse because of it, or actually collapse because of it. But how big do you want to be? I mean, for us now, we've realized that our core business is developing new IP, is working on the franchises that we have and developing the next iterations, and steadily adding a new piece, over periods of time. We've added whole new platforms now, but it's about that core growing in a stable fashion. But we are also open to some of the weirder opportunities. I mean, people think of us as being very sane and cautious, but you think about it, we've taken some fairly mad risks over a period of time. And the first one we did was, Steam. Back in the day when we first talked to Valve, I mean, how many of you were playing games in 2005? Yeah, some of you are old enough. You remember Steam in the 2004-5? Yeah, the phrase "pile of crap" spring to mind. I'll just download this game. Oh no, it won't. Oh yes, it will. No one. And so for us jumping on Steam, people were going, you don't want to do that. And to Valve, they were going, wait a minute, why do you want some shooter that competes with whatever it was they had at the time? I can't even remember. So that was a fairly idiotic thing to do. We jumped on the bandwagon of OnLive. Anyone remember OnLive?
I haven't opened my box of it.
Good. Well, that means you didn't play the game that we put on.
Sorry.
Don't worry, neither did anybody else.
I got it for free.
Great, that makes me feel so good. And we did. Oh, sorry. Oh, that was yours, not mine.
I don't need it.
Yeah, and anyone remember Ouya? Yeah. It was an amazing idea. It's brilliant. Oh, no, it wasn't. Yeah. So, I mean, you take those risks, but it's about understanding your core, your business, if you want it to keep up. I mean, either you want it to be this size, but damn well keep it this size, or you want it to grow, think what that's going to be. Don't stop yourself jumping on, random opportunities and daft ideas, but think about how that impacts what you're trying to do. Because, I mean, I hate to say it, I mean, success gets really hard really quickly because it's that thing that, yes, this has worked. Yay, we've had some success. We can go spiraling off in 73 different directions and just collapse the business in minutes if you put your mind to it.
Right. It's called Puzzles by Joe for a reason, by the way.
Yeah, that would be hard.
And even though I was re-energized by having the 2 people that did the story and art for 6, and I really appreciated that and so forth, I couldn't see myself managing 3 and 4 teams.
It didn't become Puzzles by Joe and a couple of friends.
Right.
I have one more question. It's related, and then we're going to open it up to Q&A and people from the audience. What's next? What verticals? And Joe, you touched on this a little bit. what platforms, where are you going, and what next is relative because you may already be doing it.
I'll start to wrap up since I already sort of started. I'm hoping to do a totally non-text or at least minimal, so it can go everywhere. I have gotten over my Unity curve, and since I'm on record here, I'm going to go on record. Now that I'm over my Unity curve, you guys need to step up your games in these game jams. Because nobody's being creative. They're doing the next scroller or platformer or whatever. Come on, Unity's awesome. So
you should come to the
anyways.
next game jam.
What?
You should come to the next game jam.
I do.
Participate.
I do.
You realize I now have to
Make
say
team.
Unreal is awesome, just because.
Oh, I'm sure. No, I almost went with Unreal, but enough indies, enough people that work a little cheaper, I just felt Unity was easier to get the knowledge base around here. So, and I'm loving it. I almost have a full clutter engine going over there, and that's my plan is to basically clutter conquer the world, including the Ellen DeGeneres show. She is perfect for this game, and if she ever comes across it, I'm gonna hook her.
Can someone hashtag Ellen Show in the Twitch channel?
Soon, early 2018, Ellen, on your show. You heard it here first.
Do you even know how fast my brain is trying to work right now to think of what to say? I read all these cheat sheets of like what I need to say and what's coming up, and I'm coming up absolutely empty-handed right now. So,
apparently, you've got to hook Joe up with Ellen DeGeneres.
That's it. We got it.
Or Roman.
We're on it. Experiential marketing for us is huge. Really creating, if it's an event, how do you start that off with the invitation you send when they open up an email, and tailoring that right through the end of it and creating something that is so unique, an indelible experience that people will be those raving fans. And as much as it sounds so overused and stale that you're creating raving fans, but just as you creating your raving fans and repeat users, that's what we do as well in the services based model, as well as folks that are just hungry for an experience that they are able to tell that story with and have an experience that they can share over and over. And I'm a huge believer that stats aren't easily shared, not in my brain or my world, but how often do you repeat a story that someone has shared with you? And so that's really where my focus is, and I'll hand it over to the experts on what's next.
You're avoiding this question?
No, I'm no expert. I wish. I'm sure I'm an expert in something, but it's probably nothing printable. What's next for Tripwire? Well, apparently Killing Floor 2. Where's Andrew? Yeah. Killing Floor 2. Apparently Killing Floor 2 on Xbox. That's coming soon. More games on more games on more platforms, new IP, new office, new people. I don't know. Yeah,
Second office or moving office?
Moving office.
Moving.
Yeah.
Killing floor clutter.
Huh?
Guns, ammo. Come on.
Oh dear. So what we need is clutter with guns.
Yes. Playing clutter improves your first-person shooter skills, by the way. And people that are really good with first-person shooters suck at clutter. Their grandmother can beat them at it. But if they got better at clutter, they would get better at first-person shooting. True statement. True statement.
So yeah, do I want to answer the question? Yes, is more growth in the key field, in all the obvious fields like more games, more new IP. More platforms, but yeah, we've probably got a few surprises tucked away. For our first VR game next week. Yeah.
Ooh! Oh, cool! Congratulations!
Awesome.
Yeah, it's already for sale on Oculus. Please go pre-purchase. Oh, you mean when the Oculus comes in the back? I was going to say, how are I going to mail you the game?
Nobody does that anymore. Just kidding. All right, so Matt, should I just use this mic or is there a special mic for the streamers?
We have questions. You want to repeat them?
All right, yes, I will repeat questions. All right, let's start
Are
with
they repeatable?
At what point in your startup phase or any phase did you acknowledge that you had intellectual property, and whether it was your trade secrets, your trademarks, or your copyright, or in the rare occasion a patentable subject matter, and what steps did you take to protect it?
So the question for the Twitch audience, I know, the question for the Twitch audience is, it's Beam. I'm so sorry. It's Mixer. Okay, sorry. I'm a terrible person. Y'all can all blame me on that. Okay, so the question is, though, at what point did you realize that the concepts you have come up with, your ideas, your content was protectable by intellectual property laws, and what did you do to protect it? Copyright laws.
I don't think that was a lawyer question, Lee. We registered trademarks. That's actually about all we've ever done, is registering a number of trademarks. Beyond that, patents. Patent lawyers have come to me and gone, but you should register patents. And we go, it's software. I mean, it doesn't work like that. Go away. I don't want to spend $1,000 an hour with you discussing why it doesn't work. But I mean, to be honest, all we've ever done is register trademarks, and more and more often these days, it seems, pursue all those who steal content and run off with it and try and sell it. On the Unity store, we've had to issue at least one DMCA takedown on Steam, which was embarrassing. Having to issue a takedown notice to Valve. That was a game that was unintentionally using some of our content that had to be taken down. So we do pursue that sort of thing when relevant, but I mean, a lot of the time it's a waste of time. I mean, when someone's created some shitbox game on, that's on the App Store, that's stolen some of our assets, is built by someone in Belarus, the best we can do is get it taken down. There's no point in trying to pursue them. It's not going to happen. We want a share of your profits. Yeah, right. That's going to happen.
And unless you're Tetris in the puzzle genre, it's very difficult to protect an original idea. So I had my Mahjong game, the basic look and feel of it, and most of the special tiles I created were what do you call it? Flattered, stolen, somebody else put it out. And just 6 weeks ago, I came across the game that pretty much is severely clutter influenced. So much so that over half the reviews mentioned clutter-like in the review of that game.
But actually, I hate to say it, there's actually a good piece of marketing.
Yeah, I think that's actually good. Yep. Correct. I believe I've already seen a little bump from that.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, don't laugh. I mean, just today, I mean, we found not one but two Rising Storm 2 Vietnam ripoffs on Google Play. Mm-hmm. We downloaded them both just to check what content they'd stolen, and realized that neither game actually runs. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
So I can't be bothered to do anything about those.
And they were free?
They were free, apparently, in-app purchases or advertising. But if you can't actually get to the advertising or the in-app purchases, I mean, I don't get why you even bother doing that. But hey, I'm obviously missing something.
Maybe it was attached and no longer is.
Well, it's quite possible that, given that I very kindly volunteered QA to do this and not on my phone, they may well now have at least one QA member's bank details, but who knows? Not that I'm suspicious or anything. Sorry, did that answer the question at all, Lee?
I think so. Tammy, is there anything you want to add about that related to just general business and your business? What have you protected as far as your business goes? Or have you done the
No, we
logo?
we haven't protected anything at this point. It's, we're not going to really chase folks over an ebook or a, marketing strategy. So I think it's, again, hinged on the relationships and the reputation that you've built with existing clients and customers, and your reputation in the industry is really weightier than any sort of protected copyright that you could hold in a services-based industry.
I will add, Alan mentioned the DMCA, Digital Millennium Copyright Act, and so you have to have a registered copyright in order to execute that on an internet on a web.
Registered
platform.
trademarks, yeah.
So that's one advantage of getting the copyright registration of the computer code, is to get that takedown responded to immediately.
Yeah, I mean, it's It's a messy area. As you say, you can take the view that plagiarism is flattery, but when people just steal, a pile of assets.
It's interesting when there's a website where you've published content elsewhere, years behind, and you find that published content on a website today. That's really interesting to see.
And my games get cracked as soon as they go out. So there's always that always happens. The Big Fish's wrapper, Iwin's, whatever, they're all cracked, so they're all on. And personally, I actually hope they're stealing, credit card information from whoever buys them. So, but you can find my games immediately, within a week of release on other sites that definitely aren't from the, I'm not getting any money from them.
Sounds like they should all talk to you. Do we have any other questions? Andrew?
So a question from Crazy Taco online wants to know how you determine pricing. Is it based on time and effort? Is it based on a standard price or some other equation?
Standard. No choice. No choice.
How do you determine pricing your game? Go.
No choice. It's a standard price.
What is your standard price? And what is your target audiences and where they rate?
So PC download casual space for a what they call AAA deluxe game or whatever is they say they're selling it for 10, they're really selling it for 7, and I get a piece of that. On my website, I sell it for 10, and my shopping cart gets about 9%. So
you get 9% of
No, they get 9%.
Oh, the shopping cart signs.
No, I get it. Out of $10, I make a little over 9 for.
I can help you.
Yeah, no.
I can help you with that.
I'll take 90%.
Yeah, 90.5.
Same question. Well, not you. But
There isn't an easy answer to that one. For us, it's horribly complicated. I wish it was about, hey, it cost us this much to build, therefore it's worth X. It's not. It's worth what you guys want to pay for it. If you think a game is worth, if you would pay $40, then I hope we're charging $40. If you would pay $40 and we're charging 20, damn, we got it wrong. If you would pay $40 and we're charging 60, well, that explains why we're not selling. Then you get into the horrible complexity of then multi-currency sales.
Do you ever discount?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Have you seen the Steam sales?
Do you? That's actually a question that relates to services as well. So, do you believe discounts work, or do you believe they set an expectation for your audience?
Yeah, I'm very negative against this. Actually, I sign up for them whenever. I'm a hypocrite. So when they offer them, I say sure, no problem. However, as a global practice, I think they hurt the industry as a whole. They're cannibalizing themselves. But I say sure, sign me up for it.
For services, because you.
From a services perspective, it's interesting. Do you charge based on hours, time? How do you do that? And I think it's really, for us, so important to be outcomes-based, value-driven on what are we producing? Are we being able to show the metrics of what we've been able to accomplish? That's far more impactful than saying, great, we're going to work for 3 hours and then we're done. We're no more. You're going to have to get the project out the door by spending another whole day on it. So discounts, I think people are more looking for the most amount of your time and the most amount of effort for what you are delivering, more so than a discount.
Yeah, and I'll disagree completely with Joe on the subject of discounts. We've done sales discounts, special events. We've tried every trick in the book with discounts and every take on it. And we, after doing it randomly for a couple of years, we started actually measuring the outcomes. What's the uptick in sales? Yes, we did wonder about cannibalizing sales. I mean, I think it was with Killing Floor 1 back in about 2009, we started measuring these things because, once we started doing special events, do a discount along with it, make a big thing of the whole thing. The sales go through the ceiling, which is really a really nice feeling. But we were worried, does that mean that if the base sales rate was here beforehand, have we just cannibalized the next year of sales? And consistently, the answer is no. What we actually see, and good example right now, any PS Plus subscribers lurking in the room? Yeah, a few of you. You may have seen Killing Floor 2 was available to PS Plus subscribers a month ago, whatever it was. Last month, yeah. Some of you may have grabbed it. Congratulations. That was given away to multiple millions of people, on multiple millions of PS Plus subscribers. The base sales rate today is about 3 to 4 times what it was before we did that. On top of which, of course, we now have multiple millions more people playing the game, so the in-game sales have gone up. And that's something we did look at, that idea of sales cannibalizing, of discount sales, special event sales, cannibalizing future sales. But here's the caveat, and it's probably a big one, and it's probably one of the reasons why we will have a different view on it, is that we specialize in co-op and multiplayer games, which of course means that the more people who are playing the game, the more people want to play.
Sure.
When people are looking at co-op games, hey, I fancy a new co-op shooter. I fancy, what's the first thing you want to do? You want to know, I want to play a co-op game, so I need people to play with. Who's playing these games? There's 7 people playing that one. No. There's 700,000 playing this one. I'm in. Sure. So for us, that we talk about critical mass. That critical mass becomes really important, which is a different thing from where you are.
Right, and the second factor is if you're a distributor discounting all your games one at a time, you train your customers to wait until the game they want because they got other ones to choose from. So I don't believe my model holds up for even an individual game. Like I may do sales on my own website, but just one-day sales and try to imply I'm not going to have them all the time, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
So.
I'm going to move on to another question because we don't have a lot of time. Sure.
Red River Studio asks, speaking of growth, you hear about angel invested game companies, but if you're bootstrapping, how do you know it's the right time to hire employee number 2, number 3, etc.?
Does this have founders? Do you have co-founders or solo about one person?
They're doing the Puzzles by Joe model.
Maybe you should answer that question. Okay, so the question was, how do you know if you're bootstrapping to hire another person? When is it too much work for yourself? And how do you make that leap?
For me, I constantly tried to hire different people by giving them tasks and stuff. And then I got lucky. 2 type A people found me. And basically now I wait for people to find me more than search them out currently. That might change. That might change, but I have a certain base rate that if I'm not making that, I'm going to work as hard as I can to get the next game out quicker. Clutter 5 did so well that it made me enough money that when I met those 2 type A people, I was a little flush and I went, oh, I can handle this. And so it is a money thing for me, at least.
You scoped your work though, so that you could build it. So that's another thing, right?
Correct. I knew, exactly. Yeah, in fact, I knew exactly how much it was going to cost me within about 33%. So sure.
Whereas with Killing Floor 2, it wasn't quite the same. You had co-founders.
Yeah, a few more people.
Killing Floor, the initial. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm going to give a somewhat glib answer to that one, which is I hope you've done the math. If you're thinking about taking on more people, no, I'm looking at Andrew. It's not, unless this was actually secretly your question, in which case I'd be very worried.
Firing employee number 3, 2, and 1.
Okay. I'm just trying to see who's leaving the room after that comment. If you're thinking about employing new people, surely I would hope you've got some idea of what you are spending and what you are likely to bring in the way of income. I don't wish to sound like, economics 101 or something, but
for me, it was also shortened. I believe by hiring these 2 people, and it was true, that I got that game out quicker. So that's how I justified the cost for it, even before I knew that the market had shrunk a little bit. That with them I could get it out quicker, So that again, I'm a commodity. I'm a can of coffee. The quicker I can get out that next can, that can's going to be exactly about the same worth as the other one. There's not, So that's the most important thing for me is time dilation, I guess.
Tammy, for your current business, is it kind of based on the influx of client work, or what do you handle?
Yes, and I think as we scale the team, as well as understanding how we can support the overall influx of still growing while servicing what we have. So, are we able to do business development while working on current clients, while working on branding and influence and running just operations of the business? So, it's sort of finding that happy or living in the balance between both extremes.
That's really hard.
Do you have
so
it? Yes.
So hard.
What's your question?
How would you recommend a young person who hasn't yet mounted the treadmill go about being risky and investing in indie games without at the same time starving for lack of income?
Investing in yourself or investing in others?
Investing in projects
That you want to make. So I'm going to repeat the question. What advice would you give to someone who is starting out, not necessarily young, because there's a lot of people who are older who this may be the first time they've gotten to execute their dream.
they mentioned right when you get out of college.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I think there's different stages in life, so this question probably could apply to both. What advice would you give in terms of doing that?
Don't quit your day job. And really, I did my first game over a 4-year period while learning a language, about 20 hours a week while I was still working a 40-hour-a-week job. And that's how I transitioned slowly into game development from a business programmer.
I think there's a lot of value in working in a traditional startup or company. Entrepreneurship can be incredibly lonely, and building that network early on can be so impactful later on when you do decide to go out on your own. I know that I wouldn't have the luxury or the benefits of the network that I have now had I gone out by myself right at the gate in college, and focused on building that, understanding the market a lot better. I think, as you said, try and get as much experience in different areas as possible, in different verticals, different industries, even different markets, to know specifically where you want to cut your teeth and take it 100%.
I'm going to be very specific about it. You're kind of talking about yourself, I assume. You could. That'll do.
Asking for a friend.
Yes, I was thinking of that. What's stopping you or this friend from doing it anyway?
Starving to death.
Concerned that producing a finished game you use to make money will require time, and during that time, you need to eat.
Okay, what are you gonna do? What are you doing to eat right now?
Slowly sucking away my life savings.
Well, if that's what you're doing, then slowly suck away your life savings while building the game damn fast. Where I'm going with this is, to Joe's point, I mean, a lot of people, the games industry is one where you can do that, where you're doing the 40-hour shitbox job, whether it's flipping burgers or whatever you need to be doing, and in your spare time, you can make the jokes about who needs to sleep. I hate to say it, but a lot of entrepreneurs have been there. You do that bit where you'll be doing the client work during the day and working out how to drum up the next piece of work for half the night. When Tripwire was in its infancy, I was doing a day job which involved the commute, and then working American hours from London. Yeah, I mean, you can live on 6 hours sleep a night. You can live on 4 hours sleep a night. It isn't pleasant. People babble on a lot about making sacrifices if you want to start a startup. Sometimes you have to do just those plain, hard, horrible things, which means just grinding. Sometimes there's no easy answer to that. That's why I say for students, particularly, you don't even have to have a job as a student. You're at college, you're eating in the hall or whatever it is because your parents have paid for the damn meal plan. You've got all those evenings, and it may not be a nice way to live, but you get an amazing amount done. And you can use that experience. I think Tammy was referring to that. Use that experience. The first couple of games you'll do will be garbage, probably, unless you're really lucky. But learn from it. I mean, use them, put them out there, see what people like, what they don't like, learn from it. Apart from anything else, that means that if you're leaving college and you're applying for game development jobs, you will be that much stronger because of it. Not you stronger personally, the whole what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That's garbage. What doesn't kill you just hurts a lot. It's true. Have you ever tried falling off a cliff? I have. It hurts. And didn't make me any stronger. Anyway, enough about it. Next one.
No, that's a good question. Ron.
Oftentimes when people are starting out in the game industry in particular, they have a product, not necessarily a company. What's the piece of advice or the learning that you guys have that would be the biggest takeaway for somebody who is approaching it and probably just has a product and needs to understand what's the difference between that and establishing a legitimate company?
Okay, repeating the question. If you have a game or you have a product, how is that different from having a company? And how do you establish legitimacy as a business and build a company if you have that already?
I never have. I'm a sole proprietor still.
But that means you are effectively legally a business.
But I'm not an LLC. I'm not a whatever. But yes.
You run it through the same bank account?
Correct. I actually run it through my same bank account. All my income is as royalties. And yeah, I'm a business, but I'm as close to not being a business as possible. Although I
About the franchise effect. So that's your answer right there.
no, that's true. That's how the product became the business is actually the franchise effect. But yeah, so.
The same question though, because I think there's also one advice that was given to me really early on was go get a bank account that's not your own. And I just wish I had done it sooner. So that's, same question.
Oh, if you want an example of that one, think of Marcus Persson, Minecraft. You know that story, Ron? The first year he was charging for Minecraft. He was living in Sweden at the time, and hadn't bothered to incorporate or anything because it was just a toy project. Sweden has a top tax rate of 70%. Yeah, he got to the end of the year. The accountant went, I won't do a bad Swedish accent. You've made $10 million. How that? Okay, I don't understand how you made that money. That's amazing. Right. So what's your company called? And what company? You fucked. 70% of that first year's earnings went down.
We've got an 8-second delay, right?
Yeah, sorry about that. No, I mean, I hate to say it, but incorporating an LLC or something, you can buy it off the shelf. Was it legalzoom.com? Can I? Do I get? No, apparently, don't touch that. See a good lawyer, and the lowest level incorporation costs very little, and it provides levels of protection, tax, all sorts of other goodies like that. It really doesn't take much to do that. And again, if you're an impoverished student at college, there's business schools. Go ask them how to do it. There'll be people there who'll volunteer to do it for you as a project. It's $120 $120 to set up a company. Yes.
Yeah. Benny, Benny can help you.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's 3 points there. If you, first we recommend. Get up there.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Well, do you want to?
No, don't take the mic.
I know. I'm not gonna. Yeah. In answering this question,
We would recommend 2 points. One is to establish an LLC for personal asset protection. That's one. And when you do that, you establish a brand. You start a brand already right from the time that you have an LLC, for instance. And so up to the point of Minecraft, the Minecraft story. So 2 years, 3 years from today, you would have said, well, my company is 3 years old, as opposed to I don't have a company. So the brand, company name, that means value for you. If someone wants to buy your product, or they're actually buying your company, and that commands a lot of dollars. Now the second point is it's just $100 to register your company, whether it's an LLC or a C corp or an S corp, with the Secretary of State of Georgia. You don't have to hire someone. You can go online, Google Secretary of State of Georgia, Business Division, $100 for the first year, $50 for succeeding years. So it's that easy. But the recommendation is to start your company right from the beginning.
it's also important in our industry, just from the point of view of who owns what. Anytime you put a game up, certainly on Steam, through Sony or anyone else, they're going to ask you to sign documents that say that you own all the content, period, or you have license to use it, period. That's it. And I hate to say it, but if you can't do that, you suddenly go, "Hey, we've been working with some friends." Well, who owns the animations they did?
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is not the answer. That's bye-bye. To Benny's point, it's not expensive. Just do it.
Have you heard of Stripe Atlas? So they have just come out with this program for early stage entrepreneurs that are launching their company, and helps you incorporate, set up, especially with the way it's structured, so that if you are taking investments, it's all really laid out for you. It is invitation based, but I've been doing a lot of research.
How do I get an invitation?
So someone who's in the program already, I think it is. But no, it sets you up with a bank account with Silicon Valley Bank. It incorporates it in the way that the product is structured, whether it's services or whatever it may be.
Does that sound as scary to everybody else as it does to me?
I'm playing it really safe right now.
The answer to Ron's question is that there's a ton of ways to do it. There's a ton of people around who want to help. Some of them who will do it, SBA will do it for free. Lawyers who will help out. There's a ton of answers to it.
I want to add something really important that wasn't said though. It's true. You can go and you can register whatever it is on your own. All my clients file their own annual registrations. I don't even bother. But to get to that point, to understand the structuring and the ownership and who's gonna, just all of that, that is a discussion you have to have with a lawyer, because it's coming to the point where you know what formation you want to take. If you want to do a DBA or a side hustle, understanding your growth objectives, your exit strategies, all of that stuff needs to be talked at the outset. So yeah, you can go online and register with the Secretary of State, but to get to that point, you need to talk to somebody.
I'm gonna repeat that really briefly. Basically, get a lawyer, and they will help you incredibly. We have an operating agreement. It has saved us a lot of pain. It wasn't cheap, but it was worth it. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, we bought our first operating agreement
we rewrote ours.
Yeah, for 100 years. We realized a few years in it was garbage.
I mean, yeah, but not having one is very bad.
Yeah, I mean, if it's just you on your own, it's not a matter. But I mean, as soon as there's more than one person,
You don't have to have one, but then it's the default rules.
Yeah. And you don't know what those default rules are.
You don't have a lawyer. That's true. All right. Do we have time for other questions? It's 8:22.
I do have more from online, but I have more from online since Alan had mentioned using multiplayer to support sales. There's a specific question in the chat about was that a plan from the beginning, or is that something you developed later on the co-op when people bought it? It would generate more sales down the line.
So specifically for Alan, was co-op and multiplayer something you planned at the start? Or did you do it to generate more sales? Was single player first?
No. I mean, we've never done single player, so that's a pretty simple answer. We started out with multiplayer games. With the Red Orchestra series, they were multiplayer. That's just what we've always done. No, it wasn't. We started as a mod team, which means there was no conscious decision whatsoever involved, and pretty much no intellect or intellectual anything involved. It was a mod team. Not denigrating all those who are part of mod teams, but most mod teams I've ever met or been part of have pretty much zero clue what they're actually trying to achieve, or how, or who, or anything else. So we fell into the situation where the first game we did was a multiplayer game. And we learned a lot about that. Actually, to be fair, we learned a lot about that from Valve, but that's another story.
Was it the Make Something Unreal contest?
Yeah, we won. Oh, you want me to brag?
No, I just, I know a lot of people.
I don't like bragging. Okay.
I don't know that.
Yeah, right. We as a mod team in about 2002-03, we were producing the Red Orchestra mod, which is it was a random collection of people producing a mod which was supposed to be something to do with spy rings in Germany and suddenly degenerated into being a multiplayer game. But how that happened is completely lost in the midst of time. And yeah, Epic, NVIDIA, Atari came up with the $1 million Make Something Unreal contest in 2003. Just to tell the long version of the story. We didn't enter the first phase because we thought we're a crappy mod team. We can't find our own arse with either hand. So we didn't enter phase one, and then we saw the entries for phase one and went, my God, they're worse than we are. So we entered phase two, phase three, phase four, won everything. And no, we didn't win $1 million. I wish we had. We actually won, I think it was 50 grand in cash.
Oh, boo-hoo, 50 grand. Is there another question? Online?
Great marketing team.
Yeah, we can stop if people would rather network. Sure, yes.
Yes, the gentleman, Tripwire, consider that state of Georgia offers a tax credit for games that are produced there. Have you been able to take advantage of that?
Oh,
Yeah, so the question is the Georgia Entertainment tax credits, which are up to 30%, right? So it's 20 or 30 if you include the logo. Have you been able to take advantage of that? And at what point were you able to take advantage of that? That's my other question.
We were able to take advantage. Yeah, yes, most definitely. I can't sing the praises of the tax credits specifically, or the state of Georgia's commitment to technology too highly. As an outsider here, in case you hadn't noticed, you may come from South Alabama. I come from, it's probably North Alabama or something. The tax credits, the effort the state puts into film, TV, and the games industry is phenomenal and does make a huge difference. The tax credit program itself, I think people have seen, the figures for how much revenue that's generated for the state. What was it last year? 9.7 billion. Which is insane amounts of money. It's doing phenomenal things, and that's just been amended amongst other things to include post-production work for the movie industry, which will make a big difference. For the games industry, we're actually just a very small part of that. We couldn't take advantage of it initially. We couldn't use it initially because there's a minimum spend within the state. When we were still very small here in Georgia, we didn't actually get over that threshold. One of the pieces we have been able to do in just this year's legislation is to reduce that threshold for games companies, which will make a difference. What is it now? 250,000 salary spend in, is it just
salary and Georgia payroll?
Yeah, $250,000 in Georgia payroll qualifies you for tax credits within the state. Those make a big difference. For those who don't know, it's not just a credit against your own tax payment. It is also a sellable credit. It's a marketable credit, and there is a strong market for those credits. If you get the chance, so keep that in mind. Any planning companies within the state, that's definitely a piece to keep in mind.
All right.
Plug over.
Anybody else want to add on to that about the entertainment tax credits? Because I don't think, yeah. All right. Thank you. Andrew, is there anything else?
Yeah, thanks to our panel. You all been praised all over the place online tonight. Everyone's been loving it a great deal. So thank you to our panelists, Molly, Alan. Molly, Tammy, Alan, Joe. Oh, exactly. It's those Alabama accents. They keep throwing me. Exactly. Well, and thank all of you for watching tonight. Please stay on the feed as we're going to do some giveaways here live. I think Puzzles by Joe has giveaways. You're already giving everything away.
He's going to use a bottle of Mountain Dew.
All right, he's giving you a used bottle of Mountain Dew.
No, anybody. Just that anybody. There's some books and racquetballs. First come, first serve. I've already given away some of the books. I'd like to get rid of all of it tonight. So stop on by, at least look. I have 3 or 4 programming books, some graphic novels, some business books, marketing, etc.
So you could have been here tonight for the giveaways or for the free beer from 22 Tech Park, our host. Thank you again, 22 Tech Park. Much appreciated. For those of you who arrived late, please do sign in on the computer we have here. If you haven't had a chance to pay, please do so. We can also sell you GGDA memberships tonight. Our next meeting, we do our monthly meetings the second Tuesday of every month. We do our live streams, of course, every Tuesday and Thursday. This Thursday, we're doing a stream on working with the Fusion 2.5 game engine. Our next Tuesday stream will be from Joe's, from the indie game developer meetup that Joe helps run with Brad Merritt from Cartoon Network at Joystick Game Bar.
Joystick Game Bar,
So
6:30.
get ready for interviews with game developers from across the area then. And our next meeting is September 12th, probably Kennesaw State University, focusing on live casting for all you streamers in esports and the upcoming Siege conference. And Siege, of course, October 6th to 8th. We have a special meeting on August 23rd. It will be down at the studios of Turner's E-League. Who's familiar with E-League? Yeah, so far some of the best rated esports on TV and online. We have a special meeting in conjunction with the Technology Association of Georgia and E-League. We'll have a panel with E-League participants. A good friend of ours, Ben Konsinski from Emory's Goizetta Business School, has been a regular participant in the Siege Investment Conference, for which Tripwire is the sponsor, and representatives from Control Freak, gaming studios, and more out for that. So August 23rd, if you are a GGDA member, you get in for free. Otherwise, again, you'll have to pay. Registration information is up on our website and on our Facebook page. And we also have... remember to follow, if you're in the audience, you don't know necessarily about our Mixer channel, it's mixer.com/GGDA. Every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. plus special events like the tag event will be streamed there. And we also have a YouTube channel with about several hundred videos of game development content from Siege, from these meetings, from our special streams, and more. So please do subscribe to that and check it out. I'm trying to remember if there are any other announcements folks here had asked me to do. I think we've covered all of them. Anybody got which one? And we have a Patreon. So for those of you, I think it's being mentioned on Mixer, it's how we actually fund the live stream that Matt's back there feverishly getting going, right? So do check it out. We do have special interviews and special content up there that you can't get any other way except by being one of our Patreon patrons. So thank you very much. Join us again Thursday for learning how to use Fusion 2.5. Join us next week from Joystick Game Bar for the stream from the Game Dev. Join us September 12th for our next meeting. Join us at Siege, October 6th. Just join us and give a great round of applause for our panelists one more time.